Alicia, he
No.
graduated.
No, my husband is Sames, not Sam's, but his family changed. Sames, but he was a Sam's.
We can go ahead and call the meeting to order. If I could ask everyone to stand for a moment of silence, and then we'll ask Mr. Bradley to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we call the roll, please?
Mr. Bradley?
Here.
Mrs. Conway?
Here.
Mrs. Singer-Erdley?
Here.
Mr. Lesby?
Here.
Mr. Showalter? Here. Mrs. Tingle-Sames?
Here.
Mrs. Tackett?
Here.
Mr. Thompson?
Here.
Well, thank you. We have a full house tonight. We certainly have a quorum. Each of you have a copy of the minutes from our last meeting, August 27th.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion's been made for approval
Second.
and seconded. If there are no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Minutes are approved. You also should each have a copy of our latest check register. If you'd indicate you received that, thank you. Let's see. We've got a relatively short agenda tonight, but a couple of important things. And then, of course, there's a couple of mayor's comments but we're going to keep those brief.
We love her.
We're estimating the over-under tonight at between 30 and 45 minutes.
Don't jinx it.
You're going 30. Okay. So, on our public sign-in sheet, very first is Miss Laurie Saunders.
Well, as you know, we just finished up the Festival of the Horse. We had a great weekend. But on Thursday night during the Fireman's Chili Cook-Off, we did have some rain. It didn't dampen our spirits out. The community still came out with their rain gear and their umbrellas. I think the mayor got to taste about 50 different chilies. So
It's hard to differentiate between 40 or 50 different chilies.
but they were all good.
They were all good.
All good. That was probably a hard decision. But with the rain, we had to cancel the concert series for that evening. And we know that the cook-off had a lower attendance than what's normal on a beautiful Thursday night. So we wanted to try and figure out a way that we could help them. So what we'd like to do is bring back Swing Street on Friday, October the 12th. And that will actually follow right after G-Town After Dark, which is downtown on that Friday night from 5 to 7 p.m. Then we'll roll into the concert from 7 to 10. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask everyone to bring an unwrapped gift for Toys for Tots. For those who weren't able to make it out and get a gift, we'll pass the bucket so that Toys for Tots can raise a little bit of more money there. So everything will essentially stay the same as we've always done it. The only difference is it will be a Friday night instead of a Saturday, which means that we'll have to close Court Street right here at about 3 p.m. just to be able to get the cars out, stage out, and stage in, and the band ready to go at 5 to set up, because it takes them about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
We're setting on Court Street is where you're going to set them up at?
That's what we'd like to do. Since it's G-Town After Dark, we thought that would be a nice way to kind of coincide with people already being downtown, and just think it would be a fun evening.
Sounds good.
And they can go and shop and buy their toy downtown and then bring it over to the square.
And I know you all won't be surprised that Laurie's got a lot of her paperwork in
sure.
order and it's turned in.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion's made. Second?
I'm moving for that 30.
If there are no questions, all in
Did I put them on there wrong?
all in favor say aye.
Okay.
No,
Opposed?
bad joke, Lauren.
Okay.
Good
And
job.
Laura, while you're at the podium, I was going to comment on I think the Festival of the Horse, despite the rain,
Consider
it went beautifully. You all reacted to the rain, and we had pretty good crowds.
Yeah.
We actually got the Saturday night parade in. And
Then you took off running.
I was so impressed that you even got the seed to feed in on Friday night, and the flowers were beautiful, Karen, and it looked like just a series of nice events all weekend long. So congratulations.
The only thing, we weren't able to do the horse show on Sunday, so we are already working to reschedule that for September the 23rd, so we can get that in. So we're excited that we'll be able, to try and do a makeup day as long as weather is
But
provided.
when we were late September with the festival, we always ran into weather. And
Yep.
folks said, if we just back it up. So we backed it up, and we got rain.
You can't predict the weather.
And believe it or not, today, we were already getting phone calls about the Christmas parade. That was the first phone call when we got to the office. So we're already working on the Christmas activity, shop local, and small business Saturday. So it's a pretty quick turnaround, so I'll be back for that.
Awesome.
We look
Thank
forward to it.
you.
Thank you,
I
Lori.
appreciate your all support in allowing us to add an extra date on. It's kind of been extended, but I think it's really for a good cause, and we appreciate all you all do in supporting what we try to do at tourism.
Good, thanks. Next on our list of public comment is Mr. Nathaniel Price.
Well, good evening to all of you. Thanks for allowing me to be here. My name's Nathaniel, and I'm the Executive Director at Transform Scott County, which I think most of you know a little bit, if not a lot about. But just very briefly, Transform Scott County is a Christian nonprofit here in Georgetown. We've existed for 3 years, but in the last year, it's kind of accelerated our activity. We opened an office in Indian Acres, and the short version of what we do is we foster transformative relationships, which is a fancy way of saying we partner with local churches to engage the community. And tomorrow morning, I'll be meeting with the student services at the school. I was at the chamber lunch today. We engage anything and everything that can make our community better. We believe in that, and so that's a short version of what we do. I wanted to come tonight. One is to say thanks for your support financially, including us in the budget for the city this coming year, and not only on behalf of Transform Scott County, but all of our partners. Your support of local nonprofits makes a difference. The Amen House, Elizabeth's Village, us, Habitat. The list go on, the Gathering Place, all those organizations are working really hard to make Scott County, Georgetown better, and your acknowledgement of that with dollars makes a difference. And so I just wanted to come and first and foremost say thank you. It makes a difference. The work that we do every day is really messy. I invite you to come hang out at the office with me someday. I'll make you a cup of coffee, and we can talk about what we do. The other thing I wanted to come for tonight was to personally invite you to our now 3rd annual, it's hard to believe we've been doing this for 3 years, banquet that you can see a flyer I think everybody has, October the 16th. It's a great night where we celebrate, and there's good food. The speaker this year is a really amazing guy named Rob Perez. Some of you all have maybe eaten at his restaurants. But we encourage you to come hear his story about the work he's done through one of his restaurants called Deviate Kitchen. And if I had to say a personal goal, I would love to see Rob bring any of his restaurants to Georgetown, but specifically Deviate. It's a really, really amazing thing that they're doing there. And so we'd love to personally invite you to come to that. And we'd make a special table just for the city council. And so I don't know if you have any questions for me or anything I can answer while I'm up here, but
Thank you for your work, Nathaniel.
absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank
All
you.
right. Next on the sheet is Mr. Marvin Thompson.
Yes, BCA would like to close Church Street this Saturday for their car show, like they do every year.
Like they do every year.
And they just wanted me to bring it before council, so it's all right.
Is that a motion?
I'm just asking for a motion. There you go.
There's the motion. There's a second.
And they also need some barriers for public works, if that's possible.
Do they have to turn in paperwork?
They own the street, they just want to let us know that they're closing it.
Oh, okay. 10-4, good buddy.
Really not our street.
Yeah. They really didn't have to come before council, but they didn't want no issues. They just wanted to make certain the council knew they were
Didn't we
closed.
trip over this before when
We
it was a
did.
public thoroughfare?
Yeah.
We did.
I think they'd be safer
Well,
with the
they-
council
That's what
vote.
That's why we're
That's what
here,
we
okay?
decided last time. We'll just
Yeah.
play it
So
safe.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And barricades,
Opposed? And then we'll need to get with,
about 6 barricades.
if we make a note to get with Robert, that we can,
Thank you all.
we can pre-stage those for him.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And next on the public sign-in sheet is Mr. Stephen Price.
Thank you, Council Mayor Prather. I distributed paper to each of you, including a letter that I handed to you last week, Mayor Prather and Attorney Hartley, that is about the cemetery wall. And I'll just say, I'll read briefly, I congratulate and commend your decision to repair the wall at Georgetown Cemetery rather than to demolish and replace it. And the letters go on to make 2 basic points. Number one, any work that's done up there should deal with tree roots. Tree roots is what's caused the problem. They've caused the wall to fall out. They've caused the wall to deviate from plumb. And tree roots have to be dealt with, whatever, or need to be dealt with, whatever happens up there, or they will continue to derange or distort any wall, that whether it's repaired or whatever. The tree root problem needs to be addressed and the wall preserved or protected from the tree roots getting to it and under it again. The second point is, that I make in his letters, is that hopefully the wall could be straightened gently, slowly, with a manual cable winch. If that can be done, it would simplify repair of the wall by a big lot, by a whole lot. And I offer in this letter to try to do that for you for a wage of $9 an hour. I don't really want the job. I've got plenty of other things I need to do, but I would be willing to do it if you would be willing to try to just, as I say in the letter, if I use a winch to straighten the wall, try to do that and fail, I wouldn't charge you. But if the wall could be, and I might want to talk with some masonry contractors before I actually contract to do it or commit to do it, see what some masonry contractors would say, in their opinion, whether that's feasible. But at this point, I'm making a tentative offer to straighten the wall for you, if you're interested. And I hope you'll take time to read these letters. I went to some trouble to write them, and they deal with certain details about the cemetery wall. I think you would find interesting and hopefully helpful in repairing the wall. Second thing I've got to discuss here tonight is really more urgent. Talking about criminal justice reform and the problem of increasing crime in Georgetown, Scott County, Kentucky, and recidivism, repeat offenses. Here's a news item from 2013 Herald Leader's, an editorial about entitled "Prison and Poverty Are an Endless Loop." It says here that
Steve,
yeah.
if you would make your point to the council, it doesn't help us when you read us articles that are old.
Okay.
If you could make your point as a citizen for the council, but don't read us old articles.
Well, you might be in Kentucky. What he says here is that prison population in Kentucky is up 45%, and that's I'm compared with 13%. This is since 2000. This is in 13 years. Kentucky's prison population is up 45%. Nationally, the average is 13%. I think that's a significant statistic. That's why I wanted to read it. Criminal justice reform cannot wait. Here's another editorial from the Herald Leader. Unfortunately, I don't have the date. Sometime this past summer. It says between 2012 and 2016, admission to Kentucky prisons grew 32%. I'm gonna repeat that. Between 2012 and 2016, admissions to Kentucky prisons grew 32%. What's that got to do with me and you here tonight?
Yes, sir.
This is a picture, here's a news graphic from August the 7th. Picture of Jailer Darren Broyles at the community garden site. And in the background, you can see inmates working, doing garden work. And behind Broyles, you'll see a van. And the jail regularly transports inmates to the community garden site, which is unfortunately 5 miles north of town. It should have been in town, but anyway, that's where Mark Rees wanted it, and that's where it went. So now the jail hauls the inmates to the community garden site, 5 miles, in this van. And as I said to Mayor Prather a couple of weeks ago at the police committee meeting, the town could cause these inmates to have a place to raise garden crops within walking distance of the jail if the town would allocate this land over here across from the sheriff's department. Used to be where the so-called center of town was.
Yes, sir.
The vacant lot there, I don't know how much it is.
We're all aware of the lot.
Okay, all right. And I've showed you this before. This is the Kentucky driver's
Steve,
manual.
you don't need to, Steve, you've read us the Kentucky Driver's Manual ad nauseum.
Add what?
Enough.
Did you say ad nauseum?
Yes, sir.
Well, Mayor Prather, I don't appreciate that. I'm going to sit down. I'll just repeat, I won't read it to you, but the State Police urge all Kentuckians to drive less, and I think government should set an example by allowing those inmates to walk over there and raise crops rather than truck them to Delaplane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple of quick mayor's comments, and then we'll move into the heart of the agenda. First off, in tomorrow's local paper, there will be an advertisement, which is a request for proposals for repair of the cemetery wall.
Okay.
So that process is ongoing, and Mr. Price or anybody can respond to that request for proposal. We've left it just a little bit open-ended because we'd like to get the contractor or the person who will do its thoughts as well. So, but, you know, we've asked that it be clean, that it be as close and presentable as we could make it for this interim situation.
All of these people that propose them have to be insured and everything, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have that underway, and it'll be coming to you pretty quickly. We've already mentioned the Rainy Festival of the Horse. We'll have time to mention it again at another council meeting, but again, we'll have our, where you can get rid of old tires from September the 27th, 28th, and 29th at the State Highway Garage on Maddox Street. It's always a problem on where to get rid of them, and that'll be your solution for this year. Real pleased to tell you that later this week there will some work will begin at Royal Spring Park, where we're finally going to be able to address the erosion and all the subsidence of the earth behind the wall and the baptismal steps and the sinkholes that were appearing. Hamilton and Hinkle got the contract. I'll pass this around. It shows a very large area within the park that will be excavated, and then they'll put in the real dense cloth to hold soil, put back in rock so that groundwater can penetrate the rock, and we think this will solve the soil subsidence problem down there. It'll be the first significant step toward the structural problems at Royal Spring Park. We've had difficulty in trying to make some things pretty while this erosion issue was going on, but this will begin to get at that problem. What we hope the next step will be is to, We've already gotten some prices, what will be a contract to see about taking all the silt out of the spillway. So the baptismal steps are actually usable and the stream will actually flow. And we can restock it with fish. And, so these are the first of big structural steps to help Royal Spring Park down the road.
It was well needed.
And that'll be going on pretty quickly. Also, just to keep council up to date, we are touching all of the bases that we can to seek potential funding for East Main Street Extended. We've spoken with about everybody we could speak with, and now those ideas are we've asked folks to come back to us with ideas. This more and more is looking like a project that we may end up self-funding, but we'll continue to look for other funding sources.
Good.
And that's all the mayor's comments. Yeah. They were pretty quick. Under city engineer, we have a municipal order approving the bid for the East Court Street retaining wall. We've been worried about this thing. This is the alley over here. And according to Eddie, if we do not fix this retaining wall, we're not going to have a street behind this. What's kind of exciting for us as we look at developing downtown is after we get through with this $21,000 contract to fix that roadway, then this alley is on our paving list. So it's going to get repaved. Then if we can clean up the alley and light it better, it can become a real walkthrough.
Yeah.
So little by little, we're getting some structural things done underneath that'll let us make some better improvements on top.
Motion, do you need a motion for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. If there are no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 8 on the agenda is second reading of the personnel ordinance sponsored by Ms. Erdley.
I just gave you guys because I forgot to put the packet.
Oh, good. All right, it's been handed out now. If you do second reading, please.
An ordinance amending section 2-11 subsection C of the Code of Ordinances. Summary. 1. Amend section 2-111C of the Code of Ordinances, which sets forth the classifications, associated pay grades, and authorized positions for each department to create the position of permanent part-time victims advocate in the police department, abolish the position of chief code enforcement officer, and add one additional code enforcement officer position, and to move all code enforcement positions from the police department to the fire department. 2. Provides for repeal of inconsistent ordinances, severability of provisions, and an effective date upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 100 North Court Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Introduced and publicly read for the first time August 27th, 2018. Publicly read the second time September 10th, 2018.
Thank you. Polly, a sponsor, is that your motion? Thank you. And seconded. All right. If there are no questions, we'll call the roll.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tackett?
Yes.
Mrs. Tingle Sames?
Yes.
Mr. Showalter?
Yes.
Mr. Lesby?
Yes.
Mrs. Singer Erdley?
Yes.
Mrs. Butcher Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's see, before I move to item 9, of course, I forgot a couple of things under Mayor's comments, but they won't.
I knew it.
But they won't take long. Friday, September 14th, the Kentucky, I guess it's the AOC, Administrative Office of the Courts, has scheduled an informational program about drug court. So it's a drug court forum that will be held in the third floor of the courthouse on Friday, September 14th. And all three counties are invited. I think you all did you all receive your own?
Yeah, we got it.
did.
Good. Good. Also, I just wanted to touch base on several questions the council had asked previously, and we like to update those or we lose them if we don't follow up on them. let's see, Marvin, we have talked to the resident at the corner of Highland and Broadway about those trees. The trees on the corner will be relocated for line of sight.
Okay.
The other trees, we're going to watch to make sure that they don't exceed code. There's some real communication issues. The gentleman that owns the property is Italian and does not speak English. His son, who's attending UK, has helped us with some translation. So we'll continue to monitor that.
Understandable, wasn't it? He understood what you was talking about once his son interpreted the issue that we had.
Andrew worked with the son, so
Oh, good.
that's at least being discussed.
Good.
Polly, the stones from the rock wall in Royal Spring Park, when we've got the heavy equipment down there doing the excavating, we can probably deal with those a little better. Let's see, Chuck, I did meet with the residents at 503 South Broadway, and we've talked about that flooding and those issues. Ken, they told me that they sent job descriptions and they made the little tweaks that they thought those needed. So I think all those should be okay for the new code enforcement thing. Also, we followed up and we're still working on it. We're getting as much detail as we can, Connie, for the about the sign stuff in Payne's Crossing. At this point, Robert has found something that is close. It's not exact, but it's very close. Eddie thinks he has a lead on the original manufacturer we're going to follow up with. But from what Robert's been able to determine, it looks like we're looking at about $400 per sign, and there are 18 to 20 signs. So this will be about a $10,000 transaction if we go forward, but we'll get those detailed costs. Where this one continues to be confusing, the developer themselves in the next section that they've developed have elected to put in our standard signs. So, but we'll continue to get this information and bring it back to the council so you all can decide what you want to do there.
Mayor, can I make a quick comment that
Sure.
might be positive? I hope it is anyway. I noticed that where Verizon is just getting ready to open and the Mod Pizza and Starbucks is going there in front of Kroger, they put in a very nice looking and I think economical stop sign that I'm going to try to look into, or maybe we as a city can look into them for this situation. I can't imagine they're as expensive as the black decorative that we've kind of had the issue with. These have a smaller square post, and instead of having, they've got, I think they do have the frame, but it's just a flat back frame. And anyway, I got a feeling that they're a very economical option is why. And I noticed them, what's the new place in Lexington on Nicholsville Road where all the
Brandon
apartment-
Frosty.
The summit.
The Summit.
I noticed them at the Summit as well, and I meant to take a picture so I could share them with everybody. But anyway, these are the first two applications I've seen this type of sign. So I'm kind of anxious to see what the pricing might be.
It's a good idea, David.
Where Robert has struggled here is these have some floral design on them that we've had difficulty in matching.
Yeah.
But we do know that it's 18 to 20 signs, and it'll be somewhere in that price range. And we're continuing to get information.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And then we'll have time to talk about it again, but I hope everybody can participate. Bill, I think you're on this committee too, the Community Health Fair.
Yes.
It's a joint Community Health Fair and Heart Walk.
That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to talk to you all about later. in council.
October 13th.
We need to get a group together and do that.
Devin sent out an email today.
Yeah.
I went to a meeting at the hospital. They invited me to a meeting at the hospital, and they talked about it, and kind of scares you. They said, look to your right, look to your left. One of you people are going to die of a heart problem, and it affects everybody and their families and things, and it's a free walk, but it's $10 if you can give whatever you want, but I was thinking if the groups were 10 to 15 people and we all donated $10 a piece, we could walk a mile.
Devin's trying to get $100 a piece.
Well, I'm a little less.
He's ambitious.
City Hall.
Some of us might have that heart attack, we give $100.
City Hall walk last year.
Yeah, they did.
I knew they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do know that
That's
center's
sponsored
always
by-
involved up the hospital with the whole thing they set out front and stuff, so.
So Devin's kind of our social
Yeah.
Yeah.
chair of
Yeah.
the city.
She and I talked about it.
Philanthropic chair too.
Philanthropic chair, too. She's young, she's got the energy to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Chief Bossy, I understand you would like to buy some tasers. We have a municipal order approving the purchase of tasers.
Well, they don't try them out on us.
I think the issue there, Chief, is what you had told the police committee, is the number of cycles that the battery can be charged, and
They're past their life expectancy, so we're starting to replace the batches that we got in the past.
Can I have an old one?
You have an old one.
it might work. So a total of 15 tasers at a cost of $17,175.
Motion, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
And seconded. If there are no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Let's see, item 10 on your agenda, city council comments at 6:32.
Oh, throw it on
The
us.
pressure's on.
Add that laugh.
That was evil.
That's right. Mark, do you have anything tonight? Thank you. Chuck? Nope. Thank you.
Nope. I'm not even going there.
You're not even gonna touch that.
We'll wait for a longer agenda.
It's right.
Okay. You're good?
I'll pass too, I'm scared to say something.
Molly?
Millie?
I just wanted to talk about hardball, but I
They already
passed.
did it.
That's fine. We did it. We did it. I brought that up to the office.
Yeah, it's a good event. I appreciate you bringing it up, and we'll have a bigger team this year.
That's great. That's
But
all
it
I
may
wanted.
not, but I can't afford $100, so
No, I
I'm
can
not sure
afford
what
10.
Devin's.
I can't
got
either.
10, so.
Okay, if there's nothing else come before the council, we will stand adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Biggest meeting we've had in a long time.
We needed one.